we're getting impacted with steel price increases, and is that a concern with Brexit? Is that an opportunity for materials to imports, exports, as that balance of the exchange rates? But we import and we export materials. So is that a threat to the price of materials and supply chain through to the construction sector?
Possibly a threat, but it's the same for everybody, isn't it? Yeah. So everybody who's trading in the UK marketplace, the raw materials that are going up, and we're already seeing that. I mean, we literally had letters the following day after Brexit saying, by the way, here's a 10% increase because you're paying in sterling. The ones we were paying in euros, it wasn't a problem because we got the 10% increase anyway. But it's the same for everybody. So if I look at all our competitors in the UK that manufacture in the UK, we're all buying our raw materials from broadly the same sources. So what I haven't seen yet, which is interesting, is inflationary pressure in the marketplace, which I think will come.
Yeah. One of the biggest impacts is going to be the visibility. You know, if you talk about the foreign groups, and it's a form of life for me now, but if I've been sat in Paris today, you're competing with the Indians, you're competing with Brazil, you're competing with Argentina. And if I'd have been putting in big capexes with no visibility of the market, which is factor now.
That's the problem.
For the next 12 months, and you compete with the Indian that sat next to me with a 9% GDP, where's the money going to go? You know, so there will be, maybe not now, there won't be a slowdown because there'll be capex in train. Like John says already, there'll be capex already signed off, but there will be delays in terms of visibility, for our known businesses.
As far as an industry, I think we've always been impacted by confidence, haven't we? Peaks and troughs in our industry, and those of us who've been in it a long time have learned to live with that. Do we think that the autumn statement from the government will actually give us some opportunity to drive confidence into the winter and actually stimulate construction growth or demand in some way? Is there a...
Do you think they'll have enough meat to what they're going to say in the autumn statement? Do you think they'll have enough plans in place by then?
No, it might just be words, but it's
we live in hope.
We live in hope. I think even if it's positive words rather than immediate deeds, then at least that will be some indication to give some underlying confidence for going into 2017 and beyond.
If you look at consumer confidence, I think the GfK figures are actually due out this week, and they're expecting a bounce back in consumer confidence because obviously there was a massive dip sort of following post-Brexit, but they are expecting that to start returning. So I think consumer confidence...
But don't they still think it's going to be lower than what it was pre-Brexit?
Yeah.
It's going to bounce back because there was a big dip.
It's -7 instead of -21 or whatever, but it's still... The indications we're getting, and actually last night I got the first indicators back from our sales indicators, not BMBI, but our sales indicators, which are actually showing double-digit growth for August for the merchant sector. So, we're expecting to report, and that's certainly the feedback I've had, is that the merchants in August and early September have had a very, very good period of time. So there does appear to be a bounce back from Brexit. Now, how long that is going to last and whether that will change come the autumn statement, who knows? But
I mean, that's the thing that we've noticed is there's been a lot of, obviously all the polls and all of the kind of surveys straight after Brexit were doom and gloom and, end of. And most of them have bounced back. But I suppose the question is whether they've bounced back and that's it, or whether they've bounced back because Article 50 hasn't actually been triggered yet, and we don't know what that's going to mean until that happens. And then, are we going to be in the same position again? We've
got the same situation with currency. You look at what happened with currency straight after Brexit. I mean, a lot of that has come back. But again, you could read one report today and one report tomorrow that will give you two different versions. I mean, some experts are saying that we're going to go to parity with the euro. Some of them are saying we're going to go back to 1.4, 1.6. So,
again,
I think the other mix to this is actually what happens in Europe, because there is still quite some uncertainty in Europe, and a lot of us deal with a lot of the European countries, and they're in a difficult position as well. They're not growing to where we are, and I think that could have a positive impact to us, but because there's that uncertainty there as well.
I would take issue with what you said, Andy. Yes, exchange rates have come back, but they've still settled at 8 to 10% below where they were pre-Brexit. So there's still been a massive impact on the industry, and I think everyone I've spoken to had a pretty grim July. Now, I didn't ascribe that to Brexit. I put that down to the fact that the market was slowing through June and just we hadn't picked it up, and it was a pretty grim July. I don't think we've seen any impacts from Brexit because we've not Brexited. There is a confidence issue, and that came through in the consumer confidence numbers straight after the vote because people didn't know what it meant, and because I think it was a completely unexpected decision. You know, the result was unexpected, not just from the general population, but also from the people that had argued for Brexit as well, as we saw in the days afterwards. It was like, we've won, what do we do? But I think as we get into next year, that's when the challenges will come. As Peter said, you know, I sit there and I talk about investment in the UK, and it's exactly that situation. We've got a growing market in Australia, we've got a growing market in America with some certainty, and I sit there and say, well, actually, it could be this or it could be that. I'm not a popular place to put the money.
I think the danger is if you start to use Brexit, because I think everybody's using that now as an excuse. You know, we're looking at a much more conservative budget because of Brexit. We're looking to take cost out of their business because of Brexit. This is because of Brexit. That's because of Brexit. My fear is that, you know, everything gets lumped onto. That's the reason. You know, for all the ills in society, the reason is Brexit. And I think we're actually moving that way as a country.
You think we're in danger of talking ourselves down further than needed?
And I think when you've got an economy which is consumer-based, which our economy is, the more negative news that's out there, the more we're likely to actually end up.
Which comes back to
Had this been a business and we'd gone to the vote and got ourselves where we are, we've no idea what to do. He'd have probably been fired, I would have thought.
Yeah.
You know, the guy did leave,
Yeah,
but I mean,
no, that's a fair
it's
point.
incredible what the politicians have done to it. It's incredible.
Well, as you said, I don't
You
think
know,
anyone...
in terms of business and the
even-
way that the UK's run, it's just incredible.
But I think the other thing you've got is you also got an opportunity from Brexit.
Yeah.
You know, again, we're talking about currency, for example. All of a sudden, imports are a lot more expensive, and as most of the people in this room have got factories in the UK, and this is a massive opportunity for British manufacture. It's a massive opportunity for exporting as well. So there are, you know, whilst it's very easy to be doom and gloom about Brexit, there's also opportunities that are going to come out of it as well.
I might see that upside if we didn't have factories all across Europe as well. If I get caught selling into any of the other European markets, it's going to be a very short conversation with my boss. But to go back to Mike's point about the autumn statement, we don't know. But I will be very, very disappointed if the autumn statement isn't positive for construction, isn't positive for the economy, because it's the one, you know, it's the first chance the government have got to actually send the new government have got to send quite a strong message.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you think, I mean, that suggests that there will be stimulation put into the autumn statement in terms of infrastructure, so things like we've heard about Hinkley Point, things like that.
They're needed because we've seen that slowdown in those big projects happening. Hinkley Point was the first one, which is great news for that part of the country, great news for construction as a whole. But we really do need the government to push forward and get behind the bigger projects.